Jadi alat beratnya bapakku.
Oke.
Tinggal disesuaikan anu
Kalau
sakunya.
wah pivot volume ya, yang suka pivot volume ini.
Untuk anu itu kimia dasar.
Mm. Aku lagi takut harga sih Pak. Kayak yang jadi elemen itu yang kecil, yang cuma 20 mili itu. Nah itu. Good morning, Prof. Mages. Hi. Please unmute your microphone. Okay.
Okay, now?
Okay. I think I will be start. So before I'm start, I will be give some information for my guest. All of participant in this session is a student in master program of chemistry education in from Universitas Negeri Semarang, and the lecture from chemistry education in Universitas Negeri Semarang. Okay. Okay, please for all participant, please uh, open your camera. Please open your camera before the start. We will start this session. Please, all participant. I hope you all open the camera. Okay. Okay, Prof. Mages. I will start this session.
Okay, thank you,
So
Dimas.
yeah, okay, not to maybe it's last year I meet you in Solo and Jogja.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Okay, will start. I'm waiting maybe
hold
1
on. I open my
minute.
PowerPoint first.
Okay, you can open your PowerPoint.
Yeah, hold on.
So if I'm start, okay, okay, this white. Okay, I will start this session. Uh, good morning. Good morning. For to Prof. Mages Warika Pudewan, and good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the session of the webinar series on chemistry and educational chemistry research trend. This series proudly hosted by Universitas Negeri Semarang in collaborate with Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia or UPI and Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha or Undiksa with generous support from leading university project for international cooperation or LUPIC and Sogeng University. Today, we are excited to have you all to join us for the focus session on academic writing in science education, where we will explore essential academic writing, particularly in the realm of the science education. Uh, Okay, this session is designed to help us to refining on academic communication skill, improving our writing technique, and ensure that our research can effectively reach and impact to the scientific community. Okay, before I'm start, I will be introduction our speaker. We are honored to introduce our speaker, Professor Dr. Mageswari Kapudewan, Professor of Chemistry Education at University Science Malaya. Malaysia, I'm sorry. University Science Malaysia. Prof. Mageswari is highly respected research and educator in field and with a significant contributors to in chemistry education and strong focus in environmental and sustainable education. Okay, Prof. Mages, we have around in 15 minutes until 1 hour to you deliver your material about uh, how to writing the academic uh, article in science education. Thanks. Okay, for the session, Prof. Magiswari, you can start your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dimas. Yeah. So yeah, we met last year in um, um, 11 Maret, right? University.
11 Maret, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Last year.
this
Yeah.
year I change my institution. No, I'm in Semarang, not in 11 Maret.
Ah. Right, right. That's why I was wondering, how come maybe I confused with the name or what? I know I was thinking,
Yes.
oh yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. And then yeah, so sorry so for the delay because I'm in Germany at this point of time and it's 5 a.m. and it's very cold here. It's 5 degrees Celsius.
Well, degrees. Oh,
And
it's so cold in
yeah,
Germany. But
It's
Indonesia
very
is so
cool.
hot.
Yeah,
We
and
so hot
then
Indonesia.
we all not so used to cold weather. I know in Malaysia or
Ah,
Indonesia, the temperature is always 30. So when come here, yeah, it took some time for me to get adapted. Okay, but it's okay. I'm already okay, and yeah, so I'm doing some collaboration work with the University of Leuven on green chemistry education. So we are looking for, we are working on some case studies, and also we are working on some publications. So hopefully we can come out with a good impact factor kind of publication. And we are looking into the same case that where is in Malaysia, and also the case is also in Germany. So yeah, maybe I can expand it to Indonesia once I'm done. All of you, Dr. Dimas, and also Dr. Suzy. I think hope she's here as well. She's from UPI, and also
UPI, right?
Dr. Nurma. And
Yeah.
probably we can try to do something which I learned from here. And yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so for the structure of this workshop, this presentation, so you want me to talk for 1 hour, and then after that is what? Is it like I'm going to talk for the entire until 7 p.m., or I'm going to stop up to maybe 6:15 or 12:15?
Yeah, I will be,
Then follow.
I will be give reminder maybe in 50 minutes.
So that means I talk until 6:50, the 11, I mean 12:15,
Yeah, yeah, 12:50. Yes.
12:15. So that means after that we have question and answer for 45 minutes.
Your material is maybe only 1 hours, and after that we question and answer.
Okay, thank you
You
then.
if it start
Right.
in 11 and 15, maybe it's end in 12 and 15. Okay,
Okay,
or
thank you.
6:14 in your time.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, now thank you, Dr. Dima. So I'm clear now. So now you must understand something. In 45 minutes, I cannot give the entire picture of how to
Yeah.
write. It's very
Uh,
difficult. It's like I
okay.
did like a 1 week workshop with the OP. 1 week I was there and I did a thorough workshop with them. How to write introduction, how to write background, how to write apa lagi methodology, how to write results, how to present the result and discussion. So it took me so long to be more in depth, on how to present the writing.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
just by
Maybe
it's
no
okay,
problem.
it's
No
okay.
problem. It's okay. No
Yeah,
problem. If you have more time, it's no problem. We have time until 1 p.m. or 8 p.m. in your time. So if you have a more time, it's no problem. Okay.
okay. Yeah. So it's not. What I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't be able to cover the entire thing within like today and next week 13, right? We have to do.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can give uh, a brief way of doing it. Okay, a brief, very brief. Then what you can do is you write your paper, then I work with you, then make it more structured and all that. So just within this 1 hour or 2 hours, I want to give the comprehensive, probably not. So I was thinking I want to focus on the introduction, how to write a good introduction. Okay, how to structure a very good introduction. And from that introduction, maybe the next week, we will go into the background, how to prepare a background,
Background.
and yeah, then little bit I'll touch on methodology. Once this part is done, your writing will be easy. These are the primary part. Okay. Now, so I want to go direct to the writing section. I think all of you are well aware about all these things. Why publication is so important in science, in our academic life, and also for the general public. Why publication is so important? Because publication is the through publication, new knowledge are actually derived, and the publication the new knowledge that derived from that any publication should be the right knowledge, not the knowledge that simply created by the authors or the researcher. It should be a true knowledge. It should be a correct knowledge. Okay, so for that purpose, publication is so important. Okay. Okay, so now what happens is in our everyday life, people are always go for quantity. That means number. Everybody wants to get more publication. You know, the number they want to have in a year. I publish 30. In a year, I publish 50. You know, this kind of number. So when they run for the number, they want to catch up with the number. What happens is they lose the quality. You know, the quality of the writing, the quality of the content, the quality of the paper is not there. So the moment you lose the quality, even though you have the number, it becomes like nobody recognizes your work. You know, you see, I am just a researcher, academician from Malaysia, but I'm well known in Europe in terms of green chemistry education. I'm well known in many parts of the world for the green chemistry education. You know, so people call me, like even here I come to Europe and many other countries because people invite me. This is mainly because the quality of my work, you know, quality of my work that I have published so far. They want to know what am I doing in terms of teaching green chemistry in Malaysia. They really want to know. So this is not merely because the number, it's because the quality. If not, you think people, like I'm a third world person, you know, I'm a person from third world country. Do you think first world people would like to invite me? No one will look at me if I don't have the quality. So how the quality is shown to the people? Through the right publication. Not simply publish here, publish there, you know, suka-suka, mana-mana predatory semua masuk. That's not right thing. So you publish in the right place. Then people will appreciate your work. People will recognize your work. So the number is important, but at the same time, the quality is more important than the number. So I hold to this principle. I will always publish in the journal that is reputable. I will never publish in the journal which is not reputable. You know, so I hold on to this principle. So let's see. I think I'll skip all this. Yeah. So in terms of reputable and non-reputable journals, so you before starting with writing all these things, you have to know. It's not just simply jump into writing. You need to know what are the reputable journals. So in terms of database, we have two databases. One is Scopus, another one is Web of Science. I think all of you know, right, what is Scopus? Right? All of you know what is Scopus, right? And Web of Science, we call it WOOS, Clarivate.
Good.
Last time it is
Yeah.
known as ISI. Okay, now is Web of Science. So now, so these are the two main databases. So database, you kena faham, database. Database dengan publisher lain. Jangan kamu confuse di antara database dengan penerbit. Penerbit lain, database lain. So Scopus ni adalah database. Siapa penerbit dia? So the penerbits are Springer, the penerbits are Taylor Francis, Emerald, Sage, like University Pendidikan, University Science Malaysia. We have our own penerbit. University Malaya, we have our own penerbit. So all these are penerbit university. And then societies like chemistry, we have Royal Chemistry Society UK. Journal of Chemistry Education Research and Practice. Itu adalah journal from Royal Chemistry Society. Kalau you tengok Journal of Chemical Education, it is a journal from American Chemical Society. So these are the society's own journal. So now you need to know that when the article is published, the article has few different publishers. The well-known publishers are Springer, Taylor Francis, Emerald, Sage, University, and there are also like Elsevier. You know, there are so many good publishers and the societies. But if you go beyond these publishers, penerbit tak kenal nama, I pun tak tahu. Some penerbit yang namanya pun very pelik. Very odd name penerbit. So when you go and publish in that kind of platform, that's where you are losing your name. That's where you are losing your reputation. So you are actually going into the wrong direction. And this should not happen in academic field. So you're asking me to assist you with writing. First thing is this one. You have to maintain a good publisher. Okay, right. Now I'm not going to go into all this because later I'll share some of the slides, then you can actually go into the what is Scopus. You can go into the Scopus database and find out the list of journals in Scopus database. And also you might want to go to check in Shimago. Shimago, you have to be very careful with Shimago. Shimago is just another company. Okay, not necessarily Shimago can be right. Not necessarily Shimago can be right. It is just another company just telling you, okay, these are the Scopus journal, these are the WUS journal, what are the impact factor and all that. But Shimago can be wrong. So don't trust 100% on Shimago. When I look for journal, I will never look for Shimago journal, Shimago website, because it can mislead you. And it is not Scopus, what do you call that? Scopus validated platform. As I said, it's just another company. And if you see, Shimago will give impact factor for Scopus journals. Saya rasa kamu biasa dengan Shimago kan? So Shimago will give you an impact factor for Scopus journals. But in actual fact, Scopus journals do not have impact factor. Only WUS, Web of Science, has impact factor. Muhammad, this part you have to really get it right. Where impact factor comes from, impact factor 1.3, impact factor 2.3, 0.5, 0.6, all these impact factor are given by WUS, Web of Science, not by Scopus. Scopus journal do not have impact factor. So if there is an impact factor for Scopus journal, it is by Shimago. And who is this Shimago? Shimago is just another company. Okay, Shimago is only another company. So not necessarily they are right. So don't focus too much on Shimago. Okay, so remember this: impact factor for Scopus, there's nothing. No impact factor for Scopus journal. Only impact factor is for WUS, Web of Science. And this Shimago, they give impact factor for Scopus journal. So they are not right. Actually, they are not very right. Okay, right. So I think you are very familiar, and then this is how to check whether the journal is in a Web of Science and on that. So I can't go deep on this because I don't think I have the time to go deep on this Web of Science JCR report. If you want to see whether the article is in Web of Science database, Web of Science, you just type the name of the journal and you will get something like this. This is called JCR, Journal Citation Report. So JCR will tell you what are the impact factors and the details of the journal. So this is the JCR report for chemistry education, research and practice. Very deep. Okay, so yeah. Now, so you understand Scopus and WUS. First, you need to know that WUS is with impact factor. So you need to know what are the journals in the WUS and what are the journals in the Scopus. And there is something called open access. What is the meaning of open access? Open access means you just submit your article, you pay, and then you get your article published, right? Now, there are two stories here. When it is an open access by good publishers, like these people, Springer, Taylor Francis, or that, when your open access is by these good publishers, you pay money, the article will go through a similar review process like the ordinary journal. But the only difference is you want to make it you yourself. The author is opting. The author is choosing to be a what you call that, you out of your own choice, pilihan kamu nak jadikan dia open access. That means widely available. No, people don't need to pay to read the article. They can just download and read. So you are making easier for the people who ever want to read the article. So for that purpose, you are paying money. So in that case, the open access is good. But I don't know why you want to pay so much of money and get your work published, because for me, I believe I work so hard to get this article, and then on top of that, I want to pay to get it published. I don't think I want to do it. So I will never go for open access. But there is another open access where that is mostly done by predatory journal apa ni, nama journal bahasa Melayu kata apa, haram journal yang tak betul. So yeah, that journal, you just put it, pay money, get your work published within 1 week or 2 weeks. That is called predatory journals. And for these predatory journals, you pay so much of money, get your work done, published. But the moment you publish in this kind of journal, that's it, gone. What is the point? That's why I keep telling you, you are increasing the number by just publishing, but it doesn't bring any impact for the individual, you as an author, and for the institution where you are working. It doesn't create any impact. Indonesia and Malaysia very popular for this. Despite me telling many people don't do this, they are very popular for doing this. That's why Indonesia, Malaysia, one of the top ranked in publishing in the predatory journal, top level. Okay, so my advice to you: don't go for predatory journal. Don't ever do that. Okay, now so this is the you can see Malaysia is number 5, Indonesia is number 2. Work in predatory journals. So this is really bad. So how to know whether the journal is predatory or not? Like what I've mentioned, this is something called Bell's website. Jeffrey Bell. So Jeffrey Bell actually created a website where you can actually go into the website and get the idea about whether the article is predatory or not. So you Google Bell's list, you will get into the website. And this is Bell, and you can actually get the link I give you down there. You can use that link and then go deeper inside the website. You can see who are the publishers blacklisted, who are the authors. Who are the publishers and who are the journals which are blacklisted, publishers and journals which are blacklisted. So you don't go and publish in that journal. Then if you publish, you are actually putting yourself in trouble. Okay, now don't do that. So the Bell's list, you can actually check on it. Right now, let me go straight to the publication. Okay, can you see this? Right. Now you submit a paper. You understand what the journal wants. So that means before your submission, even before your writing, you need to go to the journal's website and check through what the journal wants. If the journal wants 8,000 words, you just have to write for 8,000 words. If the journal wants 6,000 words, you only can write for 6,000 words. If the journal wants introduction, there's no background, directly go to the method, then you have to write it in that way. So first thing is, before starting the writing, you need to go and read the journal, what actually the journal wants. Then you submit. The moment you submit, it will go to the people who are checking the formatting, whether it actually the author followed what the requirement of the journal. So did the author follow the requirement of the journal? If it followed, then it will go to the next level, chief editor. If let's say you didn't follow, actually Indonesian paper, many get rejected at this level. As an editor for SERP, I get many papers, and at this level itself, it gets rejected. It don't even go to the next level. right? So rejected. Then it go back to the author. The paper cannot be done anything. If every basic criteria, the formatting, the requirement, language, everything is okay, it will go to the first level, which is the chief editor. So chief editor will be looking into the paper. So once the chief editor feel like the paper is substantial, it's up to the level. That means, let's say you are submitting for CERP, Chemistry Education Research and Practice, your paper is up to the CERP level. Then the editor will say, okay, now we find a reviewer. Reviewer, how many reviewers? Sometimes 2 reviewers, 3 reviewers, 4 reviewers, like CERP, 2 to 3 reviewers. If you go for JCE, it can go up to 5 reviewers. So submit the papers. Now, the problem now is why our paper get delayed. Our paper get delayed because the issue of getting reviewer. Many people don't want to review the paper. So we are stuck here because of not getting a right reviewers. But it's okay, that's not your problem. The problem is with the editor. So once the paper got reviewed, a reviewer agree, it is stand for peer review. And here they will take about 2 to 3 months to do the peer review. Then after completing the peer review, it will come back to chief editor. Everything okay, it will go back. If the chief editor feel like now that these 2 reviewers are giving contradicting, one say accept, another say reject. So totally contradicting. So they might choose a reviewer 3 or reviewer 4 to double check. Then everything okay. If it is rejected, it goes back to the author. But if it is major correction or what, it goes back to the author, and then the author have to do the editing. Now, coming back here, it is good that if the second round of revision, if we can send back to the same reviewers, but unfortunately, most of the time, we cannot get the same reviewer. Some people don't want to review back the article. So it goes to a different people. So when it goes to a different people, a different set of comments are there. So yeah, but as an author, we don't have a choice. We have to address. The moment there is a comment, we need to address. So there is where the delay happens. After this, it goes to the, if it is accepted for publication, then it is, you are lucky, but it can go a third round of review, and it keep going until several round until your article get accepted. So this is the thorough review process in the impact factor, WOOS or Scopus journal. But if you are paid journal, I don't think even the first review process can take place. It might not. So that's why it is called as predatory journal. It's merely making money out of your article. Okay, right. Now we come to the real writing. So writing is, you have to keep the writing simple. This is the word keys. You keep it short and simple. Always remember, we are not writing a novel. What we are doing is we are writing a scientific article. If you're writing a scientific article, it should be direct to the point. Direct, touch on the point and say, this is it. Not going around the bush, going around, but don't know what you're talking. This is very popular for Indonesian people when they do design-based writing. With the design-based writing, I tell you, we cannot go far. Okay, we have to change the perspective to research in Indonesia. I strongly believe. Design base is okay, but you cannot stop at the design base. You need to check whether the design works or not. Design, I'm not saying not good, but you cannot stop there. You have to go to another level, checking whether it works or not. Okay, yeah. So that is another story. But here, the key, take back knowledge from this presentation. The first thing should be keys. What is keys? Keep it short and simple. Remember, don't write unnecessarily. You just have to write what you're supposed to write. So now, how to write what I supposed to write? Macam mana nak tulis ni? Okay, that is what I'm going to tell you now. First thing, when you want to write for a journal, any journal, first thing is you need to choose the journal first. Not write your article, then try to fit into the journal. That is wrong. That is incorrect. Okay. The first is get to know the journal that you want to submit the article. Okay. Now, once you know the journal that you want to submit, read the articles from the journal. Okay, read the articles from the journal. So you might ask me, how many articles should I read? Like for myself, when I want to write, like recently I wrote an article on misconception on chemistry education, misconception on climate change, students' misconception. I submitted for EER, Environmental Education Research. Impact factor is 3 point something, and it is a tier 1 journal, Q1 journal, published by Taylor Francis. So when I started to write the article, I read about 50 over articles from that particular journal. You know why? I want to know what is the direction of misconception about climate change people say in that journal. Once I know what people say about misconception in that journal, then I know how actually I can start with my introduction. So the key to publication, key to writing effectively is reading. I just want to share something with you. Yesterday I was in 2 classes over here in Germany, the University of Leuphana, and I attended the master's class and undergraduate classes, 2 classes. So there was one question. This person, the lecturer, was talking about sustainable chemistry, and she was talking about this the impact of plastic toys. We have our children playing with the plastic toys. So what is the impact of chemicals in the plastic toy on the people, the children who are playing with that toy? So the explanation was very good and so comprehensive. So one master student raised up and said that how to do it. What you said is so good. But unfortunately, I'm a master student here. I don't know how to do it. How to do it. It's like the research is so complex and all that. But as a professor, for me, I feel the research is simple. But for a master student, the way they presented the data collection, the way they write the entire documentation of the research is like so complex for a master student level. So the student raised up their hand and asked, how it is so complex. I feel I don't know how to do. The first answer from the professor, the first answer is go and read. Reading. Go and read. Every day, you know what they told? They were talking to the student and I was there. Every day you must read at least for 1 hour. Read about what? Read academic journals, not storybooks, not cerita novel, bukan tu. Jangan pergi baca cerita novel. I'm not telling jangan pergi baca, it's outside. But you want to write a good article, that means you need to read. So from that conversation, I understand that I am actually on the right track. Reading is a key. So if you want to write, let's say I'm talking about the environmental education research, the journal, I read 50 over articles. Just want to know what people talk about misconception on climate change in this journal. Then only I can structure my idea. If I don't read, I wouldn't know. This is when I want to start writing for that journal, because when I start writing, I have to write talking the language of the journal. I have to say what the journal wants. I cannot say what I want. If I say what I want, I'm wrong. The journal won't accept my paper. I must talk about what the journal wants rather than what I want. to say. You understand what I'm saying? This is very important when you start writing. You must say what the journal wants rather than what you want to say. Okay, so that means you have to present your writing in such a way it coheres, it is coheres with the requirement of that journal. Okay, so yeah, so reading is the key. Rather than reading, you might ask people's advice. Like you said, you want me to look into the paper, right? That asking people's advice whether my paper is written correctly or what can. Right. Yeah, of course, English is so important, and nowadays you have AI, so language is not a problem anymore. Everybody can write a good English because you can edit the language with your paper with the AI. So use AI appropriately. Don't go and ask AI to write your paper. You go and do that, people got way to trace. Like you submit to SERP, if you write using AR, the system can tell you, oh, this article is written using AI. Reject. Don't use AI to write. But you can use AI to help you with the language. So AI, you write it, then you ask the AI to edit the language for you. That is good. That is smart. So language is not anymore an issue because we have AI to assist. Now, what is writing? Writing is not about thinking about writing. We always think, I want to write, I want to write, I want to write. But no, it's not about that. It is about sit and write. Sit and write. You have to start the writing at this moment itself. Don't think about, I will write soon, I will write, I will write. No, that will never happen. Like the experience I had yesterday, the professor is telling you have to read for 1 hour and you have to write for 1 hour. These two things are a must. Every day it is a must for an academician, for a master's or PhD students. Bachelor students is like not so, but masters and PhD students, it is a must. Every day you have to read and every day you have to write. And for me, as an academician, I do that. I read every day, I write every day. If not, I will lose my touch. So yeah, that's why I continuously doing that. Okay, right. So I'm going into the manuscript. So what is um, uh, so difficult to write? Why it is so difficult to write? Because we are trying to think how to start the writing. It's not easy for you to start. Okay, I'm going to write now, and then I'm going to, do something and start. The difficult part is to get started. So that's why how to make it easier is by reading. Is by reading. When you read and you get the idea how to start. So maybe for the first 2 articles, you will find it so difficult. But the moment you already write 1 or 2 articles, your 3rd article will be easy because you know already how to start. Now, I'm talking about high impact factor WOOS journal. I'm not talking about predatory journals. Predatory journals, anything boleh masuk. Betul tak betul pun masuk. Salah pun masuk. So I'm not talking about predatory journal. I'm not talking about multidisciplinary journal. I'm talking about very high level science education and chemistry education journals. Okay, keep that in mind. So you might think why I'm saying this. No, you have to understand. I'm talking about high impact factor journals, reputable journals. Okay, so these are the requirements. So the hardest part is to get started. How to start? First article, read, understand, then start. Second article, you will come a little easier, lebih senang sedikit. Third article, lebih senang. Fourth article, lagi senang. And then you become expert. The starting point, the permulaan itu adalah susah. Tetapi bila you dah buat satu kebiasaan, benda tu akan jadi senang. Itu saya kata. Mula, you have to start difficult. After that, things will be easier. Okay, right. Now, So yeah, this is the structure. Generally, all the journals, they have this structure. Have title, abstract, introduction, background of study, methods, result, discussion, conclusion. When you write, don't go and write the title first, or don't go and write the abstract first. Always write beginning from introduction. Start the introduction. And introduction is the most difficult part to write. It's very, very difficult to write. The moment you get your introduction correct, your background and method and result will just fall. The flow will be just easy like that. But getting the introduction right is so difficult. So how to do the introduction? So today I'm going to teach you how to do the introduction, right? So I hope I can do it a good way on just focusing on introduction. Now, so how to write an introduction? We use the hourglass model. So introduction always begin with something general, then okay, this is the overall paper. Introduction, then very general, then it follows to the methods and result, and then discussion and conclusion again become general. That means you start with something very general introduction, then you become narrow, your article will become narrow, then again it will become general. So that is your perception you should have. Introduction, I start. Then when become method and result, I become very specific to the article that I'm writing. Then discussion and conclusion going to be a bit wider. Okay, right. So this is another model. So I'm going straight on the introduction. So introduction is like uh, um, establishing a territory. It's like telling that globally this is the issue. Okay, this is a big issue globally, but this is also an issue in Malaysia or Indonesia. So from big something very general, and you are narrowing to the very specific. Okay, now, and then most of the time introduction will be ending with a research question or research objective. Okay, now I'll show you one example and I will go deeper. So I'm going to go out from here and I'm going to use one of my students' article just get published this year, and I'm going to use that article as an example to explain to you. Okay, right. I'm going to go out from this sharing. Okay, hold on. Okay, now can you see the PowerPoint, the PDF file I'm sharing? Are you seeing that? No.
Not yet. I not see. It's just your PowerPoint. Maybe you
Okay,
can
hold
just
on.
share. Sorry, share.
Okay, hold on. Right. Now can you see?
Yeah,
Can you see?
I can see.
Okay.
Paper.
Right. Now, you just follow me. So you have to be very focused to understand how to write an introduction. Okay. Right. Now, you please take note of the title. So the title
Yeah.
is STEM PT Traveler, a game-based approach for learning elements of periodic table and approach for enhancing secondary school students' motivation for learning chemistry. So what I'm doing now is, this is one of my master students' work. What the student did was he developed the game base. Okay, he developed the game base board game, and that game was used for teaching in the school for periodic table, jadwal berkala. And then we measured how how the game actually improve students' motivation. Okay, so now we use a game. The name of the game is STEM PT Traveler. Okay, STEM PT Traveler. And then we used to teach, the game is used to teach the lessons on periodic table. And then we measure how students' motivation improve. Okay, now these are the things you have to remember that. STEM PT Traveler is a game, and then it is used for the lesson on periodic table, and it is used to improve motivation. Okay, three things. Now, why STEM PT Traveler? Why the name is STEM PT Traveler? Because we so many people have used STEM. So many people have used game, right? There's so many games available, but we want to make our game different from what is already there. So we add the element of STEM inside. That's the only difference. You know, it's the PT Traveler is just a catchy name the student have. Nama tu menarik lah, PT Traveler. But STEM is something we added on. Now, later you will see. So the name of the game is STEM PT Traveler. It is a board game, and it is used to teach the lesson on periodic table and improve motivation. Now, these are the things you have to remember. Now, if these are the things that you're going to write, how are you going to start the writing? Are you going to start on the beginning from game? Are you going to start beginning from periodic table? Are you going to start beginning from motivation? You can start anyway. You can start from STEM, you can start from motivation, you can start from periodic table. Nothing is wrong. You know, always remember in journal article writing, there is nothing, tidak ada yang betul atau tidak ada yang salah. You know, tidak ada yang betul ataupun tidak ada yang salah. Yang menentukan penerbitan adalah setakat mana orang yang baca, panel yang baca can agree with your writing. You understand what I'm saying? There's no such thing that this is wrong, that is right. No. It is about the way you write must convince the reviewer. The reviewer must agree. The reviewer must say, oh yeah, this is correct. Oh, the way written is good. So actually the reviewer say, okay, then you should not have a problem. So there's no right and wrong. Unless you punya methodology so totally salah, that is a different case. But the idea that you are proposing cannot be right or cannot be wrong. It's just about you as an author telling the people, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing something like this, and you're justifying. This is a big thing in Indonesia. Right. Now, so I asked you to think about which will be the best way to start the writing. Is it STEM? Is it the game? Is it the motivation? Or is it the periodic table? Okay, now you have to think. Now, for this purpose of writing, I started with motivation. I can start with STEM, as a game. I can also start with periodic table, but it would not give me a very strong argument, to put a very strong argument. But if I start with motivation, it will give me a space to do a strong argument. So now, if you see here, the definition of motivation. First, I define what is motivation. And for this definition, I started general, setelah umum. Because there are so many definitions for motivation. Some definition by Glean, definition by Daisy and Ryan, definition by Igles. There's so many definitions. Bandura, so many definitions. So what is the definition of motivation that I am using in my study? So I started with something very general, the definition of motivation. Okay, after defining, okay, the definition is very general, then I narrow. Okay, so what is the definition that I'm going to use in this study? So I narrowed to Glean. So Daisy and Ryan give a very general definition. I narrowed to Glean. Now, why I narrowed to Glean? because Glenn's perspective of motivation is used in this study. So similarly, let's say if you are talking about attitude. So you might say, what is attitude in general? After talking about attitude in general, then you might want to think about narrow the definition of attitude to the perspective that you are using in this study. So this is something very general. Then I narrowed to Glean 2011. Why I use Glean? There are some other reason why I use Glean. Later we will see into it. Right. So looking into Glenn's perspective, so Glenn actually she talked about motivation about science. You know, she talked about motivation about science. But you must understand, in this paper, I'm talking about motivation about chemistry, not science. So I said that even though it is about science, some people, you see here, Andura, D'Souza, Zhang and Zhao, all these people have used Glenn's definition of motivation and put it in the context of chemistry. You understand? So I talk about motivation first and I narrowed what is the motivation in this study. What I mean by motivation in this study. Okay. Now, to make the statement more concrete, if you see these articles, this reference, Adura, D'Souza, and Zhang, I actually obtained these references uh, from SERP because this article is published in SERP. I got these references from SERP. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So to make the thing more concrete, I get the references from the journal that I want to publish. It's not from some other journal. So it gives more stronger uh, stronger, how to say, stronger justification that, wow, yeah. So Glenn has said for science, motivation for science, but um, Glenn's idea has been accepted in chemistry as well. Understand? So then this is about definition. The first paragraph is basically about definition. Understand? The second thing, now why motivation? So the first paragraph is what is motivation? Okay. Second paragraph, why motivation? There are so many things I can measure. Why do I measure motivation? Huh? So you are actually talking about the problem statement. You are talking about the research gap. You understand? You're talking about the research gap. Why motivation? So now I need to so that means I need to say that the problem is motivation, right? Now, my problem is a problem located in Malaysia. My problem is not a problem, international problem, you know. So students lacking motivation is a problem of Malaysia. You know, students lacking motivation, it might be an international problem. It can be an international problem. But what I need to write here is the motivation is a Malaysian problem because the sample that I'm going to handle with is the Malaysian student, not an international student. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about why motivation. So that means what I'm trying to say is I'm saying that motivation is a problem, and I'm going to say that motivation is a problem in Malaysia as well. See, so you if you read here, you can see like I talk about STEM, less students are taking up STEM. I started from that perspective. So there are so many other ways to write, but I'm talking about students taking up STEM. So STEM field is so important, but then we can see the number of people in the STEM are decreasing, and this is also the case for Malaysia. So you can see that the education ministries. Hold on. that the Education Ministry 2020 annual report reveals that STEM students are reducing so drastically. And what could be the reason why the STEM student decreasing? Because it's not only STEM students decreasing, and also I added on with the COVID-19 pandemic. So all these things are actually because of motivation. So you can see that COVID-19 pandemic greatly affected students' motivation for learning. Globally, secondary school students in many countries experience high level of stress, anxiety, but it is also the case in Malaysia where motivation is so low. You understand? You have to understand what I'm saying. If I can just tell you that write the introduction like this, like this, like that, but then you cannot write a good introduction. Okay, you need to understand. So you see the first paragraph basically about what is motivation. Okay, what is motivation? So if you are writing something else, you have to write what is the variable that you are measuring. So in this case, I started very general. According to Daisy and Ryan, motivation is this. But a very general definition might not be appropriate. Then you need to narrow down because there are so many views for motivation. Some people say motivation is this, another person motivation is that, another person motivation. Different views about motivation. Then I used Glean. I used Glean's way of writing the motivation. Why? There is a reason for that. That one I will explain to you in the method section. For this point, this point, you just remember Glean. Okay. Then I narrowed really, okay, in this study, I'm using Glean. Right. So people already know. Anyone who reads this article, they will get the idea. Oh, this study deals with motivation. While there are so many other motivation, this author is using Glean's idea of motivation. Now, why I'm giving so much of emphasis on this? Remember, when we submit the article to journals like SERP, Chemical Education Research and Practice, the people who review this article are someone expert in the motivation. And I'm thinking, if my guess is correct, this article would have been reviewed by Ardura, or maybe D'Souza, or maybe Zhang and Zhao. We don't know. But the possibilities are very, very huge. As an editor of this journal, I know how the review process works. So there are huge possibility the paper might be reviewed by these people. You understand? So that's why it's very important to say it specifically. Whose definition of motivation you are using in this study? So I'm using Glean. Somebody might have used. There's so many perspectives. So the one very close to science education is Glean. Right? And then I said Glean is very popular in science education, but it is also used in chemistry and these other people. Okay. Now, so what is the problem now? So second paragraph is the problem statement. So what is the problem? Why do I want to measure motivation? Why I never measure something else, but I want to measure motivation? So why? Why? Right. So first paragraph, what? Second paragraph, why? So I need to think. So I thought about, there are few students taking up STEM. I think in Indonesia, it's a global problem. Okay. The enrollment of students in science is keep dropping. Not many students are taking science. And then COVID-19 also, because this study was conducted at the point of COVID-19, the pandemic time, 2021, at that time. So pandemic is also another reason. Globally, people and also Malaysia, there are less students, and that is mainly because of motivation. You understand how I put it in the second paragraph? Why? So another thing that I want to highlight here is, what is the problem with the Indonesian and Malaysian people's writing? They always will put Indonesia as big front in front. Oh, this problem is Indonesia, this problem is Malaysia, You highlight the Indonesia, but when you submit for high impact factor journal, you cannot go and highlight the Indonesian context. You need to talk about the global thing and then narrow to the Indonesian. If you see here, I didn't highlight anyway Malaysia one. I started very general. Then I put it narrow to Malaysia. Why I put it narrow to Malaysia? Because my samples are Malaysian. I narrowed to the Malaysian. So motivation is the issue. Until here you are clear? This shows some signs or something if you are clear. Is it clear what I'm saying about
Yeah, I'm clear.
motivation and what?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we must
Now,
be make a generic problem like what the problem. After that, we must be know how it's how the problem, and we must be know what specific is in Indonesian or on in Malaysia maybe. So that we must become what is the problem or in a general like that.
yeah, something like that. Okay. So now you're done with motivation. So I ask you to remember just now this article as three things. Stamp PT Traveler, which is the game base, and then we are talking about periodic table, and then we are talking about motivation. Three things. Okay. So now if in the introduction, what I have shown is I have talked everything about motivation. I explain everything about motivation really. So anyone who reads the journal, they understand, oh, this article is about motivation. Now, so the problem is motivation. So after that, we still have another two things, periodic table and game-based approach. I haven't touched yet. So I have to think about, so now I already said motivation is a problem. Okay, it's very clear. Now I need to think about how to bring the game-based approach and also periodic table inside. I need to think. So how to think? Thinking is reading the articles published in SERP. So like I have a wide experience of publishing and in right, I know what to do. But if you are a new people, you are just starting to write master's level student, read. Reading only can take you there. Okay, right. So now I already said motivation is a problem. Now I'm thinking about how can I bring game inside teaching and learning. So I said here a range of context-based online teaching intervention has been introduced. At this time of COVID-19 pandemic, many online teaching and learning approach has been introduced. So what are the online things? Some people have used Kahoot, some people have used virtual lab, some people have used uh, blended learning online and also the traditional learning. So there are so many things people have used during the time of COVID-19 pandemic, and also people have used so many things to improve motivation. So many teaching and learning approach to improve motivation. However, there is a breadth of studies in improving motivation to learn chemistry among secondary school students. So what I'm saying, many teaching and learning approach has been used. Contohnya kau. So many approaches. But what is lacking here is this seems to be very general. There is no approach used specifically for chemistry. Many approach used to improve motivation, maybe in science, maybe in biology, maybe in other subjects, but not many is used in chemistry. And then the World Bank called for more tailor-made curriculum. That means to improve the motivation, to improve the learning, World Bank called for more tailor-made. Tailor-made means if I want to teach something in Malaysia, I must use Malaysian context. If you want to teach something in Indonesia, you use the Indonesian context. That means the curriculum is very much in line with the need of Indonesia. We don't teach what people teach in US in Malaysia. We don't teach what people teach in Germany in Malaysia. Cannot. That doesn't fit. The values of Germans are different. The values of Malaysian and Indonesian are different. So we cannot use their idea to do it in Malaysia or Indonesia. We can learn from them, but we cannot apply 100%. So, so World Bank called for more tailor-made curriculum, a curriculum which is appropriate for your own Malaysian or Indonesian context. So it is gap. There's no few studies done on chemistry, and then requirement of more tailor-made curriculum. Already I'm reaching to the gap. And then I'm touching, okay, game-based. What is game-based? So while the motivation is low, while we need for a curriculum which is very relevant to the Malaysian or Indonesian context, I touch about game based. I started talking about game based is an approach that improve affective, behavioral, cognitive, all these things, right? Uh, while game based is so good, however, a systematic literature review reveals a breadth of study on game based in chemistry education. There are so many good things about game based. You know, game based is closely associated with motivation. However, very few studies have used game based in chemistry. This literature review. Okay, now, okay, clear. Now, you must remember, my game base is not an ordinary game base. My game base is a STEM game base. We have the element of STEM. So I cannot stop here. I also need to say why STEM. Okay, why I'm using STEM. So I continue saying that while there are many game based, all these game based are very much of learning about the content. Like if I want to talk about periodic table, I just learn about the periodic table. I don't make it interdisciplinary. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics is not there. Okay, it's not appear in a game. So I want to make it interdisciplinary. Then I started. So while addressing the learning, the necessity to bring interdisciplinary perspective, so they need an interdisciplinary perspective to equip students with knowledge, to prepare them for future careers, solve complex everyday problems should not be neglected. So I said, no, we need an interdisciplinary because I'm going to bring STEM inside. Okay. Boleh mute dia tak?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Um,
Right. So now, and then I cannot stop here as well. I need to talk about periodic table. Why periodic table? So I talk about game, I talk about motivation. There is another thing which we cannot forget, which is periodic table. So why periodic table? Periodic table is one of the fundamental chemistry topics that students learn at the early stage when they start learning chemistry for the first time. Okay, so, and then I end this introduction with a research question. The study aims to seek answer for the research question, what is the effectiveness of STEM PT Traveller in improving intrinsic, career, extrinsic, and grade and self-determination motivation. So that these are the different subscales of motivation according to Glean. And how does motivation change as the result of using STEM PT Traveller? So you see there are two questions on motivation because this study used mixed method design. So there are two research questions. So that is another level. But now you try to think. Now I talked very detailed about introduction. I hope you understand. Now you have to think. I go back again. What I did in the introduction. If you can write introduction at this level, I tell you, the chances of your paper to be rejected is very low. You can get like a major correction, or you can get something like reject, resubmit. You still have a chance to submit. The totally rejection is very low. Okay, now that's why I emphasize, I'm strongly saying introduction is very difficult to write, but the moment you write it very clearly, you are set. I'm going back again. Now, how the introduction you should look like. Like, as I said, the introduction must be in a V shape. Okay, the introduction should be in a V shape, dalam bentuk V. Apa maksud bentuk V? Maksud bentuk V is at the top of the V is very besar kan? It's luas. Luas. Terus it's general, sangat luas. And then when benda tu sangat luas, it gives you a global scenario antarabangsa. Very global, everybody's. And then when you sampai ke hujung V, benda tu sangat fokus pada satu titik. So fokus pada satu titik itu maksudnya semua variable yang kamu kaji dalam artikel ini sudah difokuskan pada satu titik. Sudah dikaitkan antara satu sama lain dan difokuskan pada satu titik. You faham nggak apa saya kata? I'm doing it in bahasa because I want you to understand what I'm saying. No point I'm talking in English and you don't know what I'm talking. Okay, right. So, apa yang maksud V besar tu? Apa yang dimaksudkan dengan tu? Maksudnya, kamu dalam case ini, dia ada 3 benda. Motivation, game base, satu lagi adalah periodic table. 3 benda ni. Nak mula dari mana? Mana-mana pun boleh. Tapi biasanya saya akan mula daripada dia punya DV, dependent variable. Okay, so dalam case ini, then you boleh tanya saya soalan. Mestikah mula daripada DV? Itu saya kata, mana-mana you boleh mula. Tapi mula daripada DV, bagi saya lah, dia lebih senang. Lagi lebih mudah nak fokuskan dia punya penulisan. Okay, right. So, apa yang V besar tadi itu? So, general. Definition of motivation. What is motivation? This is very general. Then I focus. Itu definisi yang sangat umum. Nah, apa yang dimaksudkan dengan motivasi dalam kajian ini? So, dalam kajian ini, Glean punya motivasi. So, mengapa saya guna motivasi Glean? Yang itu saya terangkan dalam methodology, not here. Or maybe in literature review. But here is just an introduction. So, Glean ini very popular in science. But then this is a chemistry motivation. Then I say, okay, even though it's very popular in science, it has been used widely in chemistry. So siapa yang pakai? Adura, D'Souza, Zhang and Zhao. And seperti yang saya kata tadi, kalau boleh, reference ini ambil daripada jurnal yang kamu nak publish. So I want to publish in SERP. I took all these reference from SERP. And I'm thinking this paper might be reviewed. Mungkin di-review oleh salah seorang ni. I tak tahu. I'm just guessing. Because these are the people who publish here. Right. So, in this paragraph, sudah tahu dah apa itu motivasi. Dan apakah motivasi dalam kajian ini? Maksud dia. The next paragraph is, mengapa motivasi? Ada banyak benda yang kita boleh kaji. Tetapi mengapa kaji motivasi? Itu soalan kedua. Soalan kedua ini, problem statement. So I need to talk about why motivation. In this problem statement, I talk about Malaysia. I say the problem exists in Malaysia. So I never start from Indonesia first and then talk about motivation. Or Malaysia first, then talk about Malaysia. Itu adalah satu cara yang betul-betul salah. All the Indonesian articles will be like that. All the Malaysian articles will be like that. So mulai hari ini tukar. Jangan tulis macam tu. Tukar. So you start general. Then the second paragraph will be mengapa, why. So in answering that question, you have to think, macam mana nak jawab ni soalan ni, mengapa? How to answer? Okay, I thought, okay, now STEM, number of students in STEM declining. Okay, so many articles saying that it's a global problem. Despite being global problem, issue ini juga issue di Malaysia. Number of STEM students in Malaysia also declining. I gave some references. And then I can actually boleh berhenti kat sini. Tapi saya sambung dengan COVID sebab artikel ni walaupun publish tahun 2024, kajian dijalankan saya rasa tahun 2020, 21, 22, student master saya. Okay, so I thought why not talk about COVID as well. Ini tambahan saja. Actually saya boleh berhenti kat uh, uh, kekurangan dalam graduate STEM. Saya boleh berhenti kat situ. COVID ni tambahan saja. Okay, so mengukuhkan lagi problem tu. So COVID-19. So masa tu pun motivasi sangat kurang. Okay, lagi kukuhkan lagi penyataan tu. Lepas tu motivasi is settled. Now I think about how to bring game, teaching and learning. How to bring the teaching and learning. Then I got okay. So there are many context-based learning during the pandemic. At that time, people have used many approaches. Some people use Kahoot, some people use that, some people use this. There are so many approaches. But in chemistry, there are very few. Okay, in chemistry, there are very few. Research gap 1. And World Bank said that if you want to improve motivation, you need to use a custom made. That means a curriculum yang sesuai untuk Malaysia. So I cannot use a curriculum from US or UK or Japan or any country to use it in Malaysia. I need to use a curriculum which is very appropriate for Malaysia. That's where the design thing comes in. But you see, what is the problem with the Indonesian article? They always talk about design. But if you go and look into the journals, design, the articles, they don't highlight the design part. You design and what is the impact? Measure the impact. We design the game. We design the board game. We design the board game. So the designing part, I make it very silent. But the impact, I talk about it. That's a different Indonesians and other articles from other country. I try to help many people, but what disappoints me is they always highlight the design part. When you highlight the design part, you cannot go far. So tukar cara you buat research tu, you cuba alter sikit. Don't design okay, but measure the effect. Okay, so there are very few studies on chemistry, and we need a design which is appropriate for Malaysian students. Okay, now I have already bring the game there. So yeah, game is always associated with many things: cognitive, behavioral, affective, motivation, and so on. However, in chemistry, people using game is also very few. Second gap. First gap, not many approach in using in chemistry. People have used improve motivation. Second gap is not many people have used game, right? So I've talked about game. Third thing is, while addressing the learning, because now I have to think about how to bring the STEM inside. What is the gap to bring the STEM inside? So there are so many game-based approach which have actually used to talk about the periodic table, focusing highly on understanding about concepts of periodic table. But very few actually talk about the interdisciplinary part, how to bring the interdisciplinary thing inside, how to make sure that they can relate the content of a periodic table with their future career and other things, engineering and all that. So I said, no, okay, there is a third gap, whereby students are not actually get the idea of interdisciplinary perspective to the periodic table. And the fourth is on periodic table. Periodic table is a fundamental topic, but it is a difficult topic, a challenging topic. So if you see here, there are at least 4 research gaps in the introduction which I have highlighted. First research gap is the motivation. Second research gap is the game-based learning. Third research gap is on the STEM. And fourth research gap is on the periodic table. You nampak tak? And all these research gaps, you can see it appears in the title. STEM PT Traveler, game-based approach, periodic table, motivation. So all this appears in the title, and finally, I end the introduction with what is the effectiveness of STEM PT Traveler in improving intrinsic, career, extrinsic, grade, and self-determination motivation. Now, why so many motivation? Because this is the definition by Glynn. Okay, this is the subscale of motivation given by Glynn, and how motivation changes as a result of using STEM PT Traveler. So this is a mixed method approach. So there is one question for quantitative, another question for qualitative. Okay, right. So yeah, I hope you get a clear picture of how to write an introduction. This is how my webinar will go about. If I just talk to you, okay, buat ni, I don't think you will get the idea of what to do. Okay, so yeah, I gave you a very clear picture on how to write an introduction. If students from OP are listening to this, I gave them the same talk, I think 2-3 weeks ago, last month. I hope they get a better, clear picture of what I'm trying to say. And you must remember, this idea of writing, it's like, pada awalnya memang akan susah. What general? What is, why? But then when you get the flow, things will be easier. And also, when you do a research, make sure you do a research correctly. When you want to use a questionnaire, use the questionnaire correctly. Don't simply take questionnaire from a predatory journal ataupun you buat questionnaire sendiri. Kalau you buat questionnaire sendiri, tak salah. But the validation process, actually the validation process itself can be one journal article. You cannot say, I want to validate while you put it while you are designing. That is incorrect. Okay, so my advice would be, just use a questionnaire which is very reliable. So what are the questionnaires very reliable? You can actually get it from all the reputable journals. Already orang sudah buat, guna saja. Validate in a pilot study, very brief validation, and you can use it. Like this questionnaire on motivation. I just use Glynn's motivation. Glynn dah buat questionnaire tu. I didn't do the question. I didn't I didn't develop the questionnaire. Because developing a questionnaire is a huge task. And you need to validate. It's not easy. Kalau you buat questionnaire, itu satu kajian. Kamu punya tugas, buat questionnaire saja. Jangan pergi campur aduk, buat questionnaire dengan designing. Bila you campur macam ni, dia jadi, tak tahulah, no direction. You faham apa saya kata? Kalau you buat questionnaire, itu adalah satu kajian asing. Itu publish sebagai questionnaire development tadi. Kalau you buat design, itu kajian lain. So, kamu dah buat design, jangan berhenti kat situ. Pergi measure effectiveness. Macam kami dah buat board game ni. Student tu hasilkan board game. Board game dia macam ni. This is the board game. We developed from the scratch. But we didn't make the development has a huge thing here. Kalau saya buat macam tu, saya rasa saya tak boleh sampai ke peringkat cert. Inilah STEM, and then ini adalah periodic table dia. STEM, ini periodic table board, and ini adalah STEM, yang element STEM tu. All this we develop ourselves. So, we cannot say that this development become the big part of the thesis, the big part of the article, and then the effectiveness just tambahan saja. It cannot be like that. That's why my experience with the Indonesians, banyak yang saya cuba bantu sebab benda ni tak boleh jadi sebab inilah situasi dia. Selalu highlight the development. But that's in the international perspective, that is not what is needed. You develop okay, but you need to measure the effectiveness. When you do the measurement of effectiveness, that become a whole big study. Do it correctly. Okay, right. So yeah, so I think I'll stop here for the introduction, and later I'll share with Dr. Dimas a paper for you to get a better understanding. Okay, right? Yeah. So I can respond to your question. Yang saya faham sekarang, kamu semua buat bengkel kan? It's like something like a workshop on writing, right?
Right. Oke, thank you for Magis. Bapak Ibu, kalau ada pertanyaan silakan, boleh pakai bahasa Indonesia, nanti saya translate, atau boleh langsung pakai bahasa Inggris, boleh raise hand atau chat in di text box. Oke. Mungkin untuk all partisipan yang punya pertanyaan pakai bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa, nanti akan saya bantu untuk mentranslate-nya, atau nanti kalau misalkan takut silakan ditulis di chat box, ini akan saya bantu untuk terjemahkan juga. Kalau memang ada kendala dengan bahasa tidak masalah. Atau mungkin ada yang mau langsung bertanya, Pak Cepi mungkin?
Okay, thank you, Pak Gilang. Thank you, Prof. Magis. The very interesting talk from your experience. Let me introduce myself. My name is JP. I'm from chemistry department. So actually, my research in electrochemistry, but sometimes I also write some papers related to the chemistry education, write with my students. I faced several times to publish my paper with my student. The first is about the ethics. So can we conduct some ethical clearance in educational research? The first one. And then secondly, I forgot, but I think in the couple of years, last 2 or 3 years ago, I submit a papers, and then in a couple of weeks, the paper is rejected. The first is about the number of the sample of the population of my sample in the paper. At the time, the paper only the research just conducted to the group of students. The control class is about 30, and then the experimental class is 30. And then the reviewer said that the number of the sample is not fulfilled. I forgot, but the main is how many sample actually to generalize our result based on the number of samples. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey, for the question. Yeah. So yeah, for the first question on the ethical clearance, right? Now, there are many ways to talk about ethical clearance, like in USM, we have a body called JPAM, Jawatan Kuasa Ethics,
Ethics.
So before we do, before we do any research, we have to write a proposal, and then the proposal will be reviewed by the people from JPAM body, and then they will give the ethical clearance. Even that process will take about 6 to 7 months. We cannot start the research immediately. So it's like it go one time, people will review, then they comment, then they'll come back and then review. It's like few times few times of doing the correction and then correcting, coming to the correct acceptable level. So it takes about 6-7 months, and once it is approved, we will be given a code We will
Yeah.
be given a
Yeah.
code, JPAM code, blah, blah, QR dot slash, blah, 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 2020, blah, 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 something like that. So when we write an article, if the article requests us to about ethical clearance, we will just say that, okay, we have obtained ethical clearance from the ethical clearance
Body.
committee from USM with the code QR, blah, 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 something like that. Yeah, right. But
So
there
is
are
it
some,
enough just to ask for example, if we are involving the students, so I just make a statement, for
yeah,
example,
so in
I'm
your
agreeing
proposal,
to be a part of this research from my title research. Is it
oh,
enough, or we have to fulfill the requirement of ethical clearance from some committee?
yeah. So I'm coming to that. So there's two things here.
Mm.
One is you get a see when we apply for ethical clearance, we are the borang-borang yang kena isi, very detailed kind of thing, So there are people will check. That is the right way. Sepatutnya that is how it should be conducted. But in some cases we don't do that.
Mhm.
We don't do that. So what
Yeah.
happen is we just
Yeah.
ask the student's opinion, we get the approval from the consent from the student and all that. We say, okay, we are done. You have to, two things here. First, you see the journal, what they want. If the journal said no, you have to show us the ethical clearance code. Then you cannot go for that journal. But
Okay.
if some journals say that, you just have to describe how you ensure the study is conducted ethically. Like in
I
this
see.
journal, I didn't get the ethical clearance because the study was conducted during COVID, so it was a big issue that time. So what I did, it's just ethical consideration. So I describe what actually happened, how I ensure the study is done ethically. But the issue now is not all the journals will accept this kind of description. Not all the journals, especially Springer journals, Taylor Francis, they really require you with the code. So when they say they must get clearance from the ethical committee, then you cannot go for that journal. Definitely you cannot go for journal. So that's why I said first thing is identify your journal, then only you start writing. Not pergi
Okay.
sudah tulis then pergi cari journal nak pergi masuk. That's wrong. Okay. My second thing, your question about sample size. You see, I assume that you're using a quasi-experimental design, right? Because you have a control group and experimental
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Right. And you said you're using 30 in experiment in control. Okay. 30 is literature like Gay and Harrison in the educational research textbook. They say a minimum sample size of 30. That doesn't mean you can do a study with 30. Like PLSM, I think you are aware about PLSM, right? Partially square approach, quantitative research. Even in that analysis, they say that you can do a study with 30. But that doesn't mean that you can do it with 30. That's a minimum statement. Like you are doing a study with student. Let's say, student macam tu, that kind of student only 30. You cannot get that kind of student more than 30. So you have a justification why you are doing just with the 30 student. But if you're just doing with the 30 student, you're just doing a kind of univariate analysis, t-test, before, after, mean comparison, before, after. What is the validity of your research? Your research is very poor. Even I will reject. You assume that just comparing your mean before and after using 330 students, you are getting a right result. But in actually, you are making a mistake. We are just testing based on the hypothetical hypothesis made 0.05, less or more. And with the smaller sample size and just using a very poor test, which you call t-test, the possibilities of you arriving to the wrong answer is huge. Sample size can have a huge impact on your research. A larger sample size will always give a better accurate result. Smaller sample size will lead to a wrong result. 30 is just a guidance, but you cannot do a quasi-experimental design with 30. I tell you one experience of myself. When I wrote this paper, let me show you the sample size. You see how much I write about sample. See, from here, sample, I talk about sample until here. So much I write about sample. You know why? Initially, the paper has a big issue. The reason is my sample size for experimental group is 40 something. How much? 40 something. Yeah, 40 something for experiment and 40 something for control. You know? 45 students in non-GBL and 46 for GBL. So the question is, how can I justify the sample size is appropriate? First level of review, it is almost rejected because my sample size is small. The claim is sample size is small.
Yeah.
Even with 45. So they said, no, your sample size is small. How can you convince us the sample size is accurate? I convinced them in a difficult way. You see here, the sample size used in this study aligns with the recommendation in the literature. According to Stephen, I have to talk about statistical power, significance, and effect size. And then this is a multivariate study. It's not a univariate study. Because it is a multivariate study, I can go very deep and convince the people that the sample size is accurate. But if you're just doing a univariate study where motivation, the univariate and univariate and multivariate is that motivation, if like just one value, then you call it univariate. You call it multivariate if you talk about the subscales of motivation, very detailed. Then it becomes a multivariate analysis. So I went up to that level to prove them the sample size is appropriate. So yeah, definitely 30, even I review the paper, I will reject. Because and maybe you are doing a t-test, it's worse. Okay, so many factors comes in. You need to know the research correctly. You need to know the methodology correctly. You need to know the analysis correctly. Then only you can combine and merge them and write it in a perfect way. It's not just doing a research and putting it out there. No. That's why I focus, when I give a workshop like the other day I give in UPI and I give workshops on publication in many places, I focus on every aspect. This is how you should write the methodology. This is how you should write about the sample. This is how you should write discussion. It's not simply write something. No. Yeah, that one you can do, but you go to the predatory journal, not impact factor journal. And if you see my list of publication, I have about 70 publication in Scopus. Out of that 70, 60 plus, 95% of my publication are in Q1 and Q2 WUS. For my level, I should have gone more, but I think the number is just another value, but I want to go for quality. So that's why, as I said, 95% or maybe more than that, my articles are in Q1 and Q2, WUS, not Scopus, WUS, Web of Science. Okay, so that's why for me the quality is very, very important. If I don't deliver the quality, I won't be here. Nobody in Germany want to look at me. You are from third world country, Malaysia. Who want to see?
Okay, great. Thank you, Prof. Mages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, I
why
think I need to learn more about the chemistry education research. So I wish someday we can meet face to face. If you visit Indonesia, I would like to welcome you in Semarang.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully I can find time.
Maybe.
So many. Yeah, that's why when Dr. Dimas messaged me, I know him, but I just cannot remember his face. I know him. I got no heart to say no. I said, never mind. Even in Germany, it's like 5 a.m. I still can do something, But yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
Thank you.
next year, Miss Nurma, I call you to Indonesia, but I have to rearrange schedule to you come to Semarang.
Right.
We'll see
Let's see
to
how it
meet
goes.
Miss Nurma. I will bring Magis to Indonesia, and I said to that, okay, we must be reschedule maybe 1 or 2 days. Magis must be come to Semarang. I said to
Right.
her.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
I have question,
Mhm.
Prof. Magis, from my friend. The first question is, okay, the first question is, my friend is have a question that her research is a small survey, maybe around in 100 or less. It it is possible to write an article can be published in Scopus. Is the first question. And the second question, my friend is maybe you can give a suggest the journal for maybe in Q3 or Q4 is suitable for a new researcher or new researcher can read the article published in Scopus. Maybe if we submit in Q1 or Q2 is too high, maybe you can be suggest maybe on Q3 or Q4 uh is suitable for the new
Yeah.
researcher like that. Okay,
Okay.
from I guess.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Dimas. So the first question is about whether the sample size 100 something is appropriate for survey. Okay. To answer this question, it is a survey, not experimental study. It's a survey. Now, to answer this question, it's very simple. You just have to go and look back. What is your population? What is the size of your population? So let's say your population size is 1,000. Okay, then you can check whether the population actually represents the sample. The sample actually represents the population. So there's something called there's a calculator G power. You have heard about G power?
Yeah, G power. I know.
G power. G power is the calculator. So you can use G power and calculate whether your sample size is appropriate. And this is very much relevant for survey. And also you can use Krajcik and Morgan's table. Krajcik and Morgan 1978. Krajcik and Morgan. Maybe I can share the reference with the, or maybe I can put it here. Hold on.
G power itu aplikasi untuk mengetahui efek size gitu.
Ya,
Tahu tentang G power.
Krajcik.
G power itu untuk mengetahui efek size dari suatu statistikal itu pakainya G power yang mungkin Bapak yang belum tahu. So I know the audition about the G power for effect size.
Okay. So there's another one also, this one. Sample size determination using Krajcik and Morgan table. This is also a way to do it. You can actually, there is a table, your population is 100,000, how many sample is required? You can refer to, but this table issue dia is a bit sudah lama, 1970, 78, outdated sikit lah. Tapi tak salah, boleh guna lagi. This one. Tapi the G power is more reason.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
the G power is more reason, calculated.
Effect size for effect size.
Yeah. But if survey, tapi kalau you buat kajian experimental design, kuasai ke apa-apa kan, experimental design, then maybe you need to know a bit more on how to design sample size, decide on the sample size. That is totally a different level. Okay, right. Whatever it is, for a beginner researcher, Krajcik and Morgan is good enough. And it is acceptable, nothing wrong with that. Kamu boleh carilah table, dia ada satu table, you boleh cari. Table tu you can get it everywhere. Now for the young researcher, if you are doing something on education, that my next question will be, Are you doing a design base, or are you doing a survey, something like that? But if you're just doing any kind of educational research, very general educational research, you can. Now, I'm going to talk about only non-paid journal. There's something called Chemistry Teacher International, this one. This is the acceptance is quite easy to get in. It's about, I think, Q4 or Q3 or something like that. Scopus and OOS, very easy to get in, but this is a paid journal. You have to
Yeah.
pay.
I have to pay to paper in this journal.
You have to pay.
Yeah, to
So
paper.
I don't recommend. I don't want to go for a paid journal. Okay. So the other low, this one is
ABG.
no, not ABG. This one.
Oh,
This one. ABG is
from your university.
yeah, but that one also got a lot of issue. I won't recommend.
Yeah.
This one, Asia Pacific Journal of Education. This is by NIE Singapore.
Ah, yeah, no.
NIE Singapore. And this journal, the impact factor is something like, let's see what's the impact factor. Impact factor is like 1.6, or it went
1.6.
up already Q2. It's getting difficult. Last time it was Q3, Q4, quite easy to get in. The others will be that is something called, if you're doing apa tu, experimental design kan, designer, there's something. This one. This is also quite easy to get in. This one, science activities. But this one you need to do a designing some treatment. Okay, designing. So this one, let's see the journal metrics. 0.4. You can try. It's Q4.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Q4.
Okay.
So yeah, remember this journal, science activities.
Science.
Okay. You can take screenshot ka apa ka, take gambar ka, There's another one also, quite this thing.
Science activities. Okay.
This one. This is also a good journal. Pedagogies and International Journal. Let's see the impact factor. Impact factor is 0.7. It's also in the Q2, Q4, Q3, Q4. This one. Pedagogies and International Journal. So this one talking about the teaching approach and all that. Okay, right. There is also another journal. This is also quite a good journal, but it takes very long. Hong Kong. I'm not sure whether you know this or not.
Hong Kong Science Education from Hong Kong journal.
Forum
Yeah,
in Science.
I was here this journal.
Teaching and learning. This one is also okay. No paid, nothing. But what happens is the process of getting published very long. Very long. But it's a good journal. I don't think it is in the WOOS, it's in Scopus. You can try. I think because they only have 2 issues. In a year, they got only 2 volumes or issues. So they like so many articles, they delay. You might want to try for this. Okay. Another journal which is also doable, but you need to do a right research. Lumat. This is also okay, acceptable, can quite easy to get in, but you need to do a right research, because the last time when I tried to help some of the Indonesian papers, I couldn't go through because of the design. Very heavily focused on the design. There's no effect. if the paper is switched in another way, talking about effect, I think the chances are there. And the sample size, everything must be correct lah. Don't do something which the sample size is not correct. Okay, so these are the few journals that I can think about now. There are many, many more journals that actually in the Q3 and Q4 range that you might want to try. Okay, this LUMAT is a Scopus journal. So non-paid, no need to pay anything. And you can quite easy to get in. But as long as your research is done in a correct way with correct sample size, correct research method and everything. Your research method is wrong, of course, any journal cannot go in. Okay.
Okay, okay. This yes, new information about the journal. Okay.
Right.
So if have any one question again, maybe if the other participant have a question, you can ask directly, or you can type in chat box. Sekarang kalau ada yang mau tanya, boleh via chat box atau mau langsung pakai bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa, nanti aku translate, jangan takut. Jadi tadi yang dibahas adalah tamati efek ses ya, efek ses setiap turun tuh beda. Setiap artikel tuh, setiap penelitian tuh ada efek sesnya. Kita tadi ada caranya tadi pakai table tadi, atau pakai paling mudah pakai G-Power itu untuk mengetahui efek ses. Jadi kayak setiap kalau kita punya sampel apa data sekian tuh kira-kira sudah suitable nggak sih kalau soalnya sekian gitu. Itu kita bisa tahu dari G-Power itu kira-kira. Eh, Kalau tadi udah dikasih beberapa alternatif jurnal, itu memang jurnal yang relatif lumayan itu untuk pemula. Jadi boleh silakan bisa Bapak Ibu. Cuma silakan kalau di taruh referensi cari metriknya dulu, dilihat first days-nya berapa biar menghindari jurnal yang terlalu lama. Kalau di atas di bawah 30 hari atau di bawah 40 hari untuk first days boleh dicoba. Juga karena teman-teman yang ada yang mengejar waktu gitu. Tapi rata-rata setahun sih baru terbit, setahun 6 bulan apa yang cepat. Kira-kira begitu. Bapak Ibu mungkin atau teman-teman yang ada pertanyaan silakan bisa langsung nanti akan saya sampaikan. Apa masih ada? Oke. Okay. From my guess is from me I give some question. So last week I have a review from Education and Information Technology as from Spring Journal, Spring Journal. Is have many comment about my introduction. Maybe after that I will be sending you the full of my article. The comment is it is simple. The comment is how about we must have a connection from the previous study and what we can make show the what we new thing about this my article like that. So I see your introduction is is so have a good structure from the
You see?
so yes, it's help me. So if I send it to you my article and you can have many suggest to arrange my introduction, is so help us like that.
Can, no problem. I'll try.
So after that, from the first I plan, I give you first only one session on this day, but I think it's so not enough if only one meeting. So we arrange next maybe in 13 November.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Same
I
time,
will
right?
send you only the maybe 4 or 5 article. I hope you can make some comment for the paper. Maybe Mr. JP, the article from Mr. JP, that's give question you about article and size before. I can send to you and many article like that. So
Okay.
how about
Yeah.
my plan about next meeting?
Can. No problem. I try to find time to read, but I can't promise whether I can do everything, or 1 or 2 maybe I can try. I try my best. Okay, I try my best to go through the papers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think your article, I think from what you are saying, I think the gap is not so clear
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your information technology. The gap is not so very clear. So maybe because the gap is not clear, the problem, the novelty of the writing is not so transparent. So
Yeah.
never mind. Let me see how I can help you.
Thank you for Mages. Jadi Bapak Ibu, ini saya plannya hanya 1 hari ini, cuma kemarin saya diskusi sama Prof Mages, kalau Sabtu kurang tuh. Jadi saya tuh ada minggu depan 1 hari lagi, nanti kita berikan sertifikat lagi untuk minggu depan. Cuman saya meng-hire Bapak Ibu yang punya artikel, silakan dikirimkan, boleh di directly via WA saya atau via nanti saya kasih form, silakan dikirim, nanti Prof Mages akan memberikan suggest. Gitu. Nanti saya akan diskusi dengan Pak Prof Mages. Mungkin ini bisa suitable ke jurnal mana atau ini bisa suitable ke mana, nanti akan atau perbaikan apa yang harus dilakukan, nanti akan dibantu begitu kira-kira Bapak Ibu. Mungkin Bapak Ibu yang tertarik atau mempunyai artikel yang mungkin sudah pernah di reject atau eh, masih saya mau ragu-ragu mau kemana, boleh Bapak Ibu, boleh. Saya baru dapat 1 artikel ini yang mengirimkan hanya Prof Darmin. Jadi kalau ada yang lain mau mengirimkan silakan, jangan ragu-ragu. Prof Magis akan membantu. Kira-kira begitu. Begitu kira-kira. Kalau saya tanya, apakah ada pertanyaan? Mungkin dari Prof Poro atau yang lainnya mau tanya. Kalau mahasiswa nggak apa-apa kalau tanya. Ada yang bingung silakan tanya yang terakhir sebelum saya tutup. Kalau ada yang mau tanya, apakah ada?
Enough, Mas Gilang.
Iya,
Thank
silakan
you.
Prof Poro.
Untuk
Bagaimana,
tadi
Bu?
ya, untuk yang artikel tadi, Mas,
Iya.
itu diberi batas waktu,
Mm-mm.
Masnya yang untuk diserahkan ke
Prof
Prof.
Magis.
Ya,
Oke. Mungkin saya
begitu.
tunggu sampai hari
Oke,
Jumat ini, Prof.
oke, ya.
Jumat ini nanti biar Prof Magis ada waktu untuk mereview. Ya, Prof Magis kalau memberikan
Boleh,
review
boleh.
sama struktur, so clear. Jadi jangan takut.
Oke.
Is Prof Loro Sumari from our department, Prof Magis.
Oh, hi, Prof. Uru.
Yeah, Prof Magis.
Hi.
Okay, the field is about a culturally learning.
Responsive.
Yes, responsive. Ethno Chinese history specific. So
Okay.
she learned about how make sure that the traditional in Indonesian and how to collect the content from the traditional content from Indonesia. Itu by
Okay.
professor.
Yeah.
She is a head a program for master in chemistry education.
Okay. Yeah, let's see
Yeah,
what we
thank
can
you.
do together. Maybe can help you to get your work published somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Magis.
Yep. But I just hope that you don't just focus dekat design development saja. Kalau fokus kat situ saja, tak measure the effect, kita tak boleh pergi jauh. No, we are stuck. So, ada design development macam ni. Ada design. Apa design dia? Game based. Tapi, kita kena measure apa effectiveness-nya. Keberkesanannya mesti diukur. Kalau tidak, kita tak boleh pergi jauh.
Oke,
Okay.
Pak Dante mau langsung atau mau saya atau tidak silakan. Oh, ini last question from Master Dante Aligiri. Oke.
Okay, thank you very much for your opportunity. I think your presentation is very interesting, Professor Mageswari.
Thank you.
Difficulty writing in Indonesia, in my opinion, is not to start for writing, but to start life in Indonesia. But it is not my question. We know in the Western have the curriculum model, and then the Malaysia have the curriculum model. Indonesia have two, is called the Merdeka Belajar. My question is, what are the key challenges in adapting Western curriculum method combined for the unique educational context from Malaysia and Indonesia? I think it's different country, different challenge to adapting for the curriculum model. And then my second question is, what is the essential statistical method? In your paper, you use about the post-test and t-test, and why you use MANOVA not use the test model. And then if MANOVA is have many variable relationship, is it possible if we use a statistical model with the same PLS? Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Actually, I'm in chemistry department. I'm not in the educational. So this is the first time, first insight I learned about the educational. Thank you.
Yeah. Dan Prof. Pak Dede is from chemistry department. He's filled in from organic chemistry.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Dandi, Dande. Okay, now your first question. Model tu. How to answer that question? Actually, in Malaysia, our curriculum is very much of a we all colony of British, right? One time ago, Britain was here. They were dominating us. So our curriculum structure is very much follow the British way. We have primary, we have secondary, we have, our SPM is equivalent to the A level, also O level, and our STPM, pre-university equivalent to their A level, something like that. Very much have this British touch there, the flow. But now things are changed, no more. Things are changed. Maybe the structure is there, but what we are learning now is more of chemistry which is locally relevant. We have chemistry, we talk about electrochemistry. Yeah, everywhere in any part of the world you go, electrochemistry is electrochemistry. You talk about combustion. Any part of the world, combustion is combustion. It's not combustion in Indonesia different from combustion in Malaysia. Combustion in any country also still combustion, reaction of combustion, right? Esterification. Esterification is esterification. It's not that esterification in Indonesia is different from esterification in some other country. Everywhere esterification. But the only difference is the ethnography, the ethnicity. So what is the ethnicity here? We have narrowed the esterification to Malaysian context. We have narrowed electrochemistry to the Malaysian context. We have narrowed combustion to the Malaysian context. So it is more of contextualization of the teaching and learning chemistry. And personally, I feel this is something that we need to educate our students, our chemistry teachers, rather than the curriculum. The curriculum will tell, okay, ini adalah objektif pembelajaran. Objektif satu, pelajar memahami electrochemistry, electrolyte and non-electrolyte. Objektif kedua, apa dia? So these are the structure of the objective, but teaching in a way, like making it like locally relevant, it all depends on the teacher. Like for example, in Malaysian curriculum, objective pertama, topic electrolysis is students have to differentiate between electrolyte and non-electrolyte. So if we look at the curriculum structure, specifikasi curriculum given by Ministry of Education, you just have to use apa? In your kitchen material, you have many things at home, and then you just use that materials, and then you teach the students what is electrolyte, what is non-electrolyte. Electrolyte conduct electricity, non-electrolyte do not conduct electricity. Electrolyte got free electron movement, non-electrolyte no free electron movement. Just like that. But what we did, we want the lesson to be very much locally relevant. So the students have to develop a kind of electrolyte by themselves. So in our lab, the student created using different fruit juice, different concentration, different type of fruits, different type of vegetables. Then they combine and then they propose their own juice, electrolyte. So they produce nak kata apa? The sports drink. You know what's sports drink? the electrolyte drinks,
Electrolyte.
sport drink.
Pocari
Yeah.
Sweat,
Pocari Sweat, like
Kapten.
Pocari Sweat, or
So
yeah,
so they
Powerade.
created their own sports drink. I forgot the name of the thing. So they created their own sports drink. So in the process of coming up with the sports drink, dia bukan saja belajar electrolyte and non-electrolyte, but they learn how to localize the content. Understand, oh, actually air kelapa ni is a good electrolyte because it has some minerals and all that, and then orange juice mixed with another carrot juice, it also can be a good electrolyte. So they play around with the concentration and all that. So this is something that we need to teach our teachers, that you want to talk about electrolyte and non-electrolyte, do it this way. Don't just talk about it without knowing, without contextualizing it. So that is what we are doing. At least my research group is doing in Malaysia. So I think Indonesia got a lot of uniqueness. You all can do so much better things than Malaysia. So like ethnographic, you have so many good cultural values, which I think the international platforms are looking forward. They want to learn from you. But unfortunately, the issue is the research is always wrongly done. Like so many times I did attempt to help. But when the focus is only design, I tell you, it's so difficult to go very far. So that's one thing. Your second question is about why I use Manova or something like that, right? Now, there's a lot of understanding involved. For example, when I say motivation, what is motivation? Motivation comprises of, that's why I said I'm using Glenn's definition. So according to Glenn, motivation is intrinsic, self-efficacy, career, grade, self-determination. These are the 5 components that actually, according to Glenn, is motivation. Okay, so when I talking about Glenn, I cannot say my motivation is only self-efficacy. I cannot say my motivation is only grade or career or self-determination, or I cannot separate them. So according to Glenn, motivation is a package. It's a package, consists of all these 5 things. You understand? So if it is 5 variables, and these 5 component exist at the same time. It's not that, okay, sekarang my efficacy is tinggi, but my career is rendah. My career rendah, my grade is tinggi. It doesn't happen like that. It happens together. Dia sekali. Faham tak? So when it happens together, how can you measure them separately? How can you measure efficacy lain, determination lain, grade lain, apa lagi? Career lain? You cannot measure like that. You have to group them and measure. That's why we use MANOVA, multivariate analysis. Kalau pakai t-test saja, dia sudah salah. Salah dari segi apa? Salah dari segi pemahaman apa itu motivasi.
Cuma begitu.
So if you're using univariate, what you are writing and what the literature says is not parallel. Literature says motivation is multivariate, but you are thinking motivation as univariate. So macam mana nak publish? Sudah salah. Faham tak? So ended up going for the predatory journal.
I think okay.
Okay,
I
how
mean,
about using sample as professor?
sample
Yeah.
size.
Sample as structural equation modeling.
Okay. Yeah. So that one depends. If you're doing a survey, yeah, that would be good. But then if for experimental design, you're measuring effectiveness of treatment, I don't think PLSM is appropriate. Maybe appropriate, yeah. You just use multi-group analysis. One group experimental, another group, like gender, we use multi-group analysis, right, for gender. So similarly, you can use experiment as one group and non-experiment is another group. But again, we are not establishing any model. We are just measuring effectiveness of treatment. We are not looking into the relationship between the variables. We are talking about effectiveness of the treatment. So PLSM is more for a survey rather than for experimental design.
I think it's enough because of the time. Oke, thank you
Oke,
for
thank you, Professor.
suaranya Pak Dante.
Thank you.
Jadi karena memang kenapa nggak bisa pakai SEMPLS itu memang karena dia menggunakan kelas kontrol dan enggak gitu. Jadi kan memang harus dari research-nya udah beda Pak. Jadi statistiknya juga nggak bakal masuk. Kalau SEMPLS kan dia buat model gitu. Nanti mungkin akan dijelaskan kalau kita diskusi masalah data struktur sama analisisnya. Okay, thank you for my Prof. Marcus Mari. I will be share you the certificate for this meeting. I'm sorry, I need
Okay.
to write this certificate for you. I will be send it to your email, and
Yes, yes, please share in
okay,
the email.
and
Okay.
please send your PowerPoint today to me, maybe with email. I will be share to other participant for this session webinar. Okay.
Okay. But I will do it a bit later in the evening, so it's
Yes, no,
already
no problem,
evening.
no
So
problem.
maybe tomorrow morning you will get it.
Yes, no
It's
problem.
clear in the evening. Okay.
Okay, and I
Thank
will
you.
be share many paper with that will I request for the review maybe in Friday. And I send you, and please have or comment for my colleague article. Okay, this is the
Okay.
last time. Thank you for Magis, and thank you for all the participant. Before I'm stop this session, we can pray together.
Yeah, sure. Let me see
Okay.
all your papers. Let me give you some feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selamat siang. Good morning for Magis. And selamat siang buat Bapak Ibu semuanya. Terima kasih, minggu depan kita masih ada satu lagi. Tapi untuk mungkin yang ingin mengirimkan artikelnya silahkan nanti akan dikomentari langsung di coaching satu-satu. Jadi mana yang benar, mana yang salah akan di coaching satu-satu. Benar-benar akan di coaching. Saya udah request sama Prof. Magis akan di coaching. Begitu. Jadi silahkan yang ada yang punya. Tidak akan di judgment tapi akan dibantu dikembangkannya bagaimana mengembangkannya. Kira begitu. Terima kasih. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Prof. Marcus.
Bye-bye. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
please.
Thank you.
Sertifikat akan saya kirimkan via email setelah nanti sore.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Bye-bye.
Ya,
Yeah.
bye. Guys. Oke,
Thank
saya
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
saya undur dulu lagi ya, Prof. Foro dan teman-teman
Yeah,
yang
terima
mau
kasih
ngajar.
semuanya. Yeah.
Terima kasih.
Yeah, terima kasih
Terima
semua
kasih.
mahasiswa.
Oke.
Yeah. Sudah absen ya, presensinya jangan lupa.